Hello, kia ora, and welcome to the Music 101 interview podcast with me, Charlotte Ryan. New Zealand band Shapeshifter are celebrating 25 years of performing together. And I don't know about you, but I was such an early fan of the band. Their live drum and bass sound was so fresh and new and exciting back in the day. Shapeshifter met at Christchurch Jazz School in the late 90s, and they initially formed a jazz band together called Blue Juice. But then after realising their shared love for drum and bass and electronic music, they created Shapeshifter. And since the band formed, they've become trailblazers in Aotearoa's electronic music scene, and their incredible live performance has also propelled them all over the world. Over the last 25 years, the sound of Shapeshifter has evolved and the members changed. I sat down with founding members Sam Trevethick and Nick Robinson to reflect on the highs and lows of the band's 25-year career.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny going through all these photos recently. Yeah, it does trigger a lot of memories. And we're there's video. These are all videos as well that we've sort of gone through recently, and it's so buzzy to go back and just see the people and the person that you were so clearly. Because memories are, the way memories are always not the way that it really was.
Yeah.
Totally. And what is it? Is it good emotions or is it all sorts of emotions?
I think it's like mainly good emotions. It's like ridiculous amount of good times. There was obviously tensions and dramas and things that went on within those good times, but that's life, right? And
anxiety. Yeah. I remember feeling a lot of anxiety in the band as well, just like not really, just being an anxious person and not really knowing what that was until kind of recently, I suppose. And going back, it just made me feel like, wow, brings back some of those feelings, but also some of these experiences that we had, like big day out, this massive crowds, and we were just like on a build, like on this really nice build that was sort of never really stopped and didn't like go too fast, but we just kept growing and growing and growing. And the experiences that we've had in our career are just like, so you pinch yourself moments, and you do forget some of those too, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, going through the old footage and photos is really special.
Are you including some of the old footage or these old memories in these anniversary shows that you're doing?
Yeah, to a certain extent, it's almost a sort of theme we're going for. But yeah, we do want that sort of nostalgic feeling, and if people can relate to that have been to gigs previously and see sort of memories that they might relate to.
Because, yeah, Shapeshifter has evolved over 25 years in the band and in the sound. Do you still have the same fan base, do you think? Do you still recognise people coming to your gigs that did come to those early shows?
It's a good question. And listening to, the other thing we have done is reissued all of our vinyl as well. And so there's been a lot of like careful listening to make sure that it's replicated properly, and in doing that you go into the spell of like where you were 24 years ago or whatever it was making this music and how deep you were. And I suppose doing that I feel a real sense of connection of people that were around at that time, and I do sort of think, have they followed us all the way till now? And I think a lot of them haven't, but I hope some of them have. It's just funny for us, we've been head down a lot, sort of one foot in front of the other, seeking what's next and building on what was before, so we don't often look back. And looking back now, it's like, oh yeah, that there was definite eras and times and people that felt really strongly, I think. But yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if I can answer that.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think there probably is, but I think sort of going a bit further on what you said, each album we sort of came to do, we fought ourselves to not say to ourselves, what was the formula last time? Let's do that again. We fought that, and there's those feelings of, but people liked that, and they might not like if we do something different, but We always felt it was real important. I think a lot of great bands, you know, your Beatles, Pink Floyd's, whatever, Madonna, I don't know, they reinvent themselves each time and push yourself. And I think you would lose fans and gain fans in that process. But for me personally, I think, well, we did Solstice. It's done. It's never going anywhere. People can always enjoy it for what it is. Let's do something different. So people coming to gigs, I'm sure there would be a few people from the different eras. But yeah, that's what's cool about doing this 25-year thing. This is going to be specifically a lot of older stuff for those people that want to hear it, and you know, we're sort of veered away from some of those old flavours, and we're going to go back and do them again, revisit them.
It's almost like a tease, us talking about these shows, because they're mostly sold out too, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. It's pretty nice. No, it's good feelings, especially. I mean, we were talking about COVID before and how that's impacted everyone, and mental health and things that people have endured in their lives because of the era that we've been through. And this is a nice injection of good times for us, you know, shows selling out quickly and feeling like we're bringing something that is known sort of back.
How does it feel, you know, going through those earlier Shapeshifter albums and sort of listening to the different sound? And even back then, you would have used such different technology as well. Does it ever make you go, oh, I can't believe we did that? You know, is there any sort of cringe factor or anything? I mean, to my ears, there's not. But does it feel weird listening to, you know, those really early drum and bass recordings? They're quite raw in a sense.
Yeah, they are. And it's funny because you finish an album, I don't know, for me, finish an album and then usually you're kind of like, right, you're a child, you've moved out of home, you're doing your own thing, let's move on, and probably wouldn't often listen to it again for a long time, you know, indefinitely, you know. And so listening to some of these things I haven't listened to in years, and there is that element of like, oh, that's, you know, we wouldn't do that now. But there was also other elements of like, wow, we were brave, and that's cool, and, you know, getting almost inspired by our younger selves or different selves at that time. So there's a bit of inspiration there as well.
It's really interesting what you say about different technology, and you know, we're a technology-based group, and we always have been. And when we first started writing music, it was it's kind of not too much different to now, you know, in a computer.
It wasn't floppy disks then, was it?
We used floppy disk live. Yeah, we did.
Yep.
And Akai samplers and stuff.
What would you hold them in? Like a little suitcase or a little...
There's a little, you had little cases for the 3.5-inch floppy disk.
Yeah.
And the zip drives and all that sort of thing. But I was just thinking about this exact question yesterday. When we go to make music for the first few years of the band, you know, we'd have a very limited palette of sounds to work with. And the internet wasn't involved in that really either. It was like, you know, Caps or Pylon or whoever were our peers would say, here's 100 sounds, you know, that I've gathered or someone's given me that's toured from the UK or that's made this kind of music, you know, like, or you take samples yourself off records and albums, but it would still be a very limited palette, and you'd sit there day after day going through all your sounds, you know, your 100 sounds or whatever, and going, what can I do with that? Oh, that's inspiring, and we'll use this kick drum and this snare that we kind of know, or we haven't used that one, but we've only got this to work with. And that conversely now it's like you can use a voice prompt in AI to go, I want a 80s sounding synth, and boom, you have one at your fingertips just like that, or anything you can possibly imagine. It's just really down to what your imagination is, what you're thinking at the time. That's your limitation, you know. So anything's possible. You want to learn any techniques or anything, it's right there on YouTube or ChatGPT.
Are you using, you know, AI to make Shapeshifter sounds at the moment?
No, I use ChatGPT a lot in my daily life, like as a kind of a Google thing. But in terms of music making, we haven't crossed the Rubicon just yet.
No, it's a funny one, AI. We sort of experimented a bit with art, and it's for artwork and things, and yeah, it's like you can see it's got potential, but it's maybe not quite there yet,
Yeah.
but I'm sure it will be soon.
It's funny talking about the digital sounds with Shapeshifter, because I think when you guys first started playing, the whole exciting thing was, oh my gosh, this is a live band. You guys, some of you met at jazz school. Was there an intention that you wanted to make dance music but have a live band? Was that a clear intention that you guys wanted to do?
Yeah, that was definitely the intention, and sort of came about from Redford, our drummer, previous drummer. He was just like a human
Drum machine.
a drum machine, but better, yeah. And he could just play any sort of drum and bass break, classic break, your amens, your think break, whatever. He could play it, and he could play it with even more swagger than any other time you'd heard it.
Yeah.
So that was the intention, and drum and bass was so big at that time in Christchurch. Drum and bass DJs coming from the UK, they'd have lines going around the street getting into ministry, and it was just huge. And we just started doing it for fun, and it was like, wow, this is huge. We had an old MS-20 synthesizer that was just so fat that it would just rattle the old jazz school walls, and Redford on drums, and and adding in our sort of jazz influences, Sam on guitar, saxophone. So it was, that was our intention, and it still is, to be fair. Like we don't sequence things, we still try and make it as live as possible, and still try and have that sort of difference.
Did you ever, I guess it makes it, you're pulling the crowds in. I'm just sort of thinking aloud here. But yeah, was there any ever regret of doing the live band? Because it's expensive taking a band around. You could potentially play the music, on vinyl, and would you still get that same crowd energy? Probably not, actually.
No, but I mean, going back to your first question, and this question is on the same path as the music that we were creating was our version of something that was very sonically different to live music, and created on computers for the dance floor, and massive bass bins and huge PAs that moved in a different way to a live band. Very the bass and kick drum relationship was a lot more kind of almost scientific than in a rock band or something like that. It's electronic dance music, and we were replicating that, but that was our point of difference, and having a live feeling and energy. And we improvised a lot in the first years of the band. We just sort of have a bass line drop and maybe a sample and some chords or something, and that would be the makeup of the song, and we'd roughly know how it went, and we just sort of go and see how it goes. And if people were really feeling it, then we would elevate and keep going, and if we needed to break it down, then we would. And that was, when you're in that situation, the whole place comes together in a kind of a synergy that's electric, and nothing's predetermined, and it's a subconscious kind of connection that you have, and you don't get that from DJing as much, from playing pre-recorded music. So did we regret it? I think we felt a lot of times like up against the establishment, if you will, in terms of, the format was DJs playing produced music, and that's on the dance floor. And we weren't really accepted by the establishment mostly because we were doing something quite different and challenging. And I think for those people, maybe it was threatening, or they just didn't like it, or they didn't really understand what we were doing, but our audience did. So, I remember turning up to places all over the world and going, you might not have heard anything like this before, but check out our drummer. Well, just knowing that we had something unique, we believed in it. We didn't ever regret it, but we definitely felt frustrated sometimes that we weren't accepted into the fraternity of drum and bass.
Yeah, and there's a lot of lugging gear around Europe, trying to take 15 massive cases on a train in the middle of Holland, in the dark, trying to get them on before the door shuts, and all these sort of massive missions. And, I remember we did a festival in Serbia exit festival, and there's 180,000 people there. From memory, I think we were probably the only band in this whole festival. You know, we probably weren't, but from memory, you know, and you got Skrillex DJing to 90,000 people, and you know, there are thoughts in your head. It's just like, wow, that guy's just cruising the world with a USB stick, you know, and we've got like drum cases and old cases with belts around them to keep them together, and you know, so there was definitely like moments where you're like, well, we're doing it the hard way for sure. And do people care? I don't know, but yeah, that was our point of difference. That was our identity, and you push through it, and the gigs are great, and you do it, and you know. But there are those moments where you're like, well, this is, this is old school.
Yeah. You mentioned Serbia before. You guys have played all over the world and played incredible festivals. You played Glastonbury too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Glastonbury weekend. We did 2 gigs. We opened it on the Thursday, and then headlined the electronic stage on the Saturday night. So that was a big weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have, I mean, with this 25-year sort of reflection, have you been thinking about, do you have favourite shows or favourite moments of touring?
Yeah, that would be one for sure. The Glastonbury weekend was it's an amazing festival. It's like one of the wonders of the world almost. It's crazy.
Yeah, and Exit Festival was another one. There are a lot, and sometimes they fade a little bit from the mind. But also, I think the Big Day Out was massive for us too, because we found ourselves on the Boiler Room stage, which I think is probably the biggest thing we'd done up to that point. Is 10,000 people in Auckland as well, you know, coming from Christchurch. Auckland was the bigger kind of centre, and we always felt like, you know, not underdogs, but, you know, the industry is very much based in Auckland, and we were kind of, we were battling a little bit, but ending up on the Boiler Room stage a few times with it just going absolutely mental is a very fond memory, and it's still quite early in our career as well, so we were, you know, just absolutely fizzing.
Oh my gosh. I almost remember the energy of that.
Yeah, we didn't play anything other than the Boiler Room for the first few times that we did it, which was amazing as well, because everyone else wouldn't play the Boiler Room. This is kind of where we sort of intersected, because the Boiler Room was a very dance music tent, so the live bands would play, if they were lucky, they would play the main stage early in the day, or they would play one of the blue stage or the red stage or whatever it was. But we managed to get on the Boiler Room, which is probably the best stage, best sound, like,
and
just
also just suited
vibe.
Your style so much more.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Big decent PA. I remember getting turned off. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we got turned off.
We got turned off at the end of one of the Big Day Outs. We closed the Boiler Rooms, fucking epic, and we were ripping, and the guy that was in charge of the PA decided that it was curfew time, and just turned the PA off, and we were playing, and the next thing it was Tiki coming through the fob going, "Hey guys, the PA's been turned off." We were just ripping away there, and it's like, we're like, huh?
How embarrassing.
It was really shit, actually.
Is that because your time had rushed or something like that?
I think it was the end of the...
It was just so...
That was it?
It was just
Gig
the
was
end.
over.
That was the end of the gig. The allotted time for the gig to finish was fucking 9:30 or 10 or whatever it is. And no, we were halfway through our last song.
You guys almost became promoters once, didn't you? Didn't you put on a New Year's festival in the Coromandel?
Yeah, we've put on a few of our own shows. It's kind of been our business model a lot of the time, actually, and sort of independent in recordings and events. And we've been pretty lucky, to be honest, you know. And we've also taken some big hits, as you do. But it's a scary game, because you put a lot on the line, and if people don't show up, then it's sad face.
It is, you know, and I think, like, as a band, we've always been real art based. Like, that's been our, like, we've tried to keep that mindset where we're like artists and we're making art, and money doesn't matter, even though we've got family to feed. So that promoter game is a tough one, where you're like in it to win it, but you also could lose. And I don't think we like that feeling. We'd just rather be like hippies making music, you know, and just, you know, music, it's all that matters, you know. We don't care about money, and the money will come. So it doesn't really suit our personalities that well, being promoters.
Are you pinching yourself now that the band have been performing for 25 years? Like, do you realise that's quite an accomplishment?
Yeah, I'm really proud. That's probably one of the things I'm most proud of, I think, is the way we're still, brothers, still, love working together.
Yeah.
Still exciting. I still get excited when we're about to go into the studio together. So, yeah, I think it's a great accomplishment.
Yeah. They say, I was actually interviewing Serge Tankian the other day, and many people have said it. He was like, being in a band is like getting married. The divorce can be really hard. You've got to work through a lot of stuff. For other bands that are listening, perhaps, and you have changed some members, and there has been highs and lows, but what is there a trick? Is there any rules or anything you'd give advice to be able to have that longevity?
From my personal experience, I really had to learn to listen. It took me a long time. I feel like I wanted control a lot, and so I ended up in the producer's chair pretty early on, because it was a way of having to express myself, and I kind of had control, of what was being input into the music. I had to kind of make it past me, and I realized, it took me a few years to realize that I needed to listen more, and that was a source of tension. The rest of the band did really, really well, I think, in putting up with that. But just that would be a word of advice, is just listen and really give people's ideas ear and your time, because music is a really passionate thing. If you do it, you're probably doing it because you feel strongly about it and you love it, and as a musician or a producer, composer, or whatever, songwriter, you quite often feel like the way. You know how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And it's going to go like this. So it's quite hard when you are feeling so strongly about it. It's deep in your heart, and you're just driven to hear someone else's perspective, which is different to yours, and it doesn't hurt to just park your the way that it's going to go, and just listen and give it a shot, and it's going to probably be better, because more hands on the wheel is going to make a better product. That'd be my advice.
Yeah, I agree. It's sort of that ability to be flexible, and I think we've just got massive trust in each other as well. So if I think I really not sure if I like that, I don't think I like that, and then we've got, say, Sam and Diggs going, oh, nah, that's cool, man. I reckon that's really cool. Then I trust them as, friends and colleagues. I'll trust them, and I'll be like, well, okay, I'll sit on that then. I'm not going to say no to that, because those two think yes. And then I'll often change my mind. I think within Colour, I thought, this does not suit the album. This is like a weird song on that album, and I don't think it should be there. Strongly, like, other guys like, nah, that should definitely be there. So I'm glad I didn't get my way on that one.
It's quite a big song.
Yeah, it's a big song, and I like the song now as well. So just having that flex and having that, try not to be stubborn, and I think, like, it's easier when you've got more people to decide things, as well. So it can be a bonus.
I think age is a wonderful tool, though, as well, isn't it? Because I think if we think of ourselves, 20 years ago, then we learn to be more open and patient, I think, as we get older too. Yeah.
It's the communication thing. It's just like any relationship. Just try and listen. If you don't get your own way, it's not going to all fall down.
Yeah, and don't quit the band. A lot of people just quit their band. It's just like, I'm quitting. Don't quit your band.
What would you say? Just have a little break. Have some time out or something.
Yeah. Work through it.
Yeah.
Just
go to therapy. Have you guys done the Metallica thing yet?
No,
we haven't. No, we haven't done group therapy. No.
So, what's next for Shapeshifter? You're heading out on tour, and some of these shows are sold out. There'll be such celebrations. But then, what happens after 25 years? Have you still got that same energy to still create new music and keep performing live and touring lots?
Yeah, I think I feel, energized to do another 25. It's only when you kind of walk past a mirror or remember your age that you're kind of like, oh shit. That's right. I forgot. So, we live close to each other now. So it's, Sam's just finishing off an amazing studio at the back of his house. And,
cool.
I feel excited. I think, we're up for another few rounds, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the passion's still there and the energy's still there. I mean, time's a bit different. Like, we're both parents. I'm a reasonably new parent, and there's a lot of things that go along with that. So the time thing is different. Like, with Solstice, we went to Kaikoura and spent 6 months just eating crayfish and making bass lines and dreaming. And same with the system, but that's not going to happen again. And we're not going to camp out for 6 months somewhere and just like indulge. Yeah, I mean, I feel very, very lucky that people are listening. People still listen to our music, and we have an audience. We're very grateful for that, and don't take it for granted. And it's it's an honor really to step into a mode of creation and think, man, we've got to do our best work. That's a real honor.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go.
That was so cool.
We didn't get to talk about you.
That's good.
Charlotte used to manage our band.
That's right.
Oh, we did.
say
We did
that.
talk about you.
Well,
We did. We did
you
mention
do say that, but then I get a little bit uncomfortable because was it managing? Did I know what I was doing when I was 22?
Did any of us? We were all like sort of, young, bubbling up at that stage. So it was all part of the journey, really, wasn't it?
That wraps up another Music 101 interview podcast. I was speaking with Shapeshifter founding members Sam Trevethick and Nick Robinson. And oh my gosh, thinking of that boiler room set at the big day out brings back so many memories. As you would have heard, to celebrate 25 years, Shapeshifter have released all their albums on vinyl. My hot take would be listening to their early albums, Rhythm Wise LP, and even their first album, Real Time. Thank you so much for listening to this Music 101 interview podcast. And if you love music and love hearing musicians talk about their lives, make sure you follow us and share this podcast with your music-loving friends. Until next time, take care and turn the music up.